Starting your day off with a take on Vegas you won't get anywhere else.
Hi, I'm Holly Madison, and I listen to Brian Shapiro.
Hi, this is William Shatner, and I listen to Brian Shapiro.
Hey, this is Larry the Cable Guy, and I listen to Brian Shapiro. Why? Because I'm a good American. So is he. And if you don't listen to him, you need to pack up and leave this country.
This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
Come on, guys!
Oh, yeah. What's up, everybody? The Vegas Take back at you on a Thursday. Yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun today. Glad you could join us. We always have fun on this show. Doesn't it sound like it? I'm always having a good time. Anyway, it's good to be with all you guys, man. I'm in a good mood today. And I don't really know why. I just am. I'm in a good mood today. I don't know. We're going to have some fun today. So maybe I'll be nice to some of the callers that decide to join the show. Probably not. My producer, Ken, he's shaking his head. He's like, no chance of that happening. But anyway, we're going to have a lot of fun. Coming up in hour number 2, Mike Babcock from TMZ Sports is going to be joining us. A lot to get to with him. There's a lot to get to in the news world, too. Yeah, what a shocker. And a lot of it has to do with Donald Trump. I know that might shock many of you, but we will be talking about Donald Trump and his administration today, and we will be talking about Michael Cohen. I want to talk about taxes. You know, paying your taxes, doesn't that suck, right? Doesn't it suck when you hit a royal flush and then they ask you, would you like to withhold some money, and you got the IRS taking a butt out of your behind if you hit big? You know, of course, if I won the lottery, you know, I wouldn't mind throwing a little money back to the IRS, to Uncle Sam, if I won millions of dollars. But, you know, nobody enjoys paying their taxes, right? Nobody likes it. We'd like to think that Donald Trump has paid his taxes, right? I don't know. But I will tell you this, and this was a story that came out today. There is something going on with Donald Trump's taxes. There is something that Donald Trump does not want you or I to see. I don't know what that is. But today, Democrats are demanding his tax returns be shown in a deal with his lawyers. Donald Trump asked about this today. He said, they'll speak to my lawyers. They'll speak to the attorney general. He told reporters during an unrelated press event in the Oval Office today. He reiterated the answer again, word for word, when pressed by the reporter a second time. He says, they'll speak to my lawyers. They'll speak to the attorney general. And that's all he had to say. Now, as you know, when he's been asked about his taxes time and time again, his response has remained the same. He says he'll be glad to show his taxes as soon as he's not being audited. And ever since he's been asked this question, he claims he's been under audit. Now, we don't know if that's true or not. Love to find that out. But look, this is bizarre, right? Because this is the first president since Richard Nixon who didn't voluntarily release his returns while running for public office. Now, why is that? Why does someone not want to show their tax returns? Well, there could be a number of different reasons, right? Could be maybe he's not as wealthy as we think he is. Could be he's been cheating on his taxes and it's embarrassing and he doesn't want to get caught. Maybe there are some financial ties to some other countries that he doesn't want you or I to find out about. It could be a number of different things, or it could be all of the above. I don't know the answer to that, but what I can tell you right now, beyond a shadow of a doubt, and I never said this about the Mueller probe. I never knew for sure whether there was Russian collusion. I never said this, but I'm going to say this about his tax returns. Folks, there's something in those tax returns 100% that he does not want you to find out about. He does not want the public to know something about his tax returns. Quite simply, if he was all for it, he would have released it by now. Now, you could say to yourself, well, legally, he doesn't have to. Well, you're right. There's a lot of things that Donald Trump doesn't have to do legally, right? But when so many people demand to see his tax returns, and when there's so many questions like the ones I am bringing up right now, why not just release them, right? Do you remember when Donald Trump went on his 5-year tour claiming that Barack Obama was not born in this country? Barack Obama didn't have to show his birth certificate at that time, but he did because he had nothing to hide, because he was born in this country, unlike Donald Trump and many of the clowns out there that had you lead you to believe that Obama wasn't born in this country. So why is it that he doesn't want to show his tax returns? Why is it that he keeps using the excuse, I would be, but I'm under audit? And now, when he's pressed on the issue, he basically says, talk to my lawyers. Talk to my lawyers. Folks, this could take years. He'll probably be out of office before we see his tax returns, if we ever do. There's something going on here. And I'm not just talking to the people that dislike Donald Trump. I'm talking to many of you Republicans that support Donald Trump. Don't you want to see the tax returns? Don't you want to see the Mueller report? We're talking about full transparency here. That's what we are talking about. Full transparency. Mr. Donald Trump, show us your tax returns. And if you did some bad things, well, guess what? You shouldn't have run for office then. Because when you run for office and you become the president of the United States, people are going to dig some dirt and find some skeletons in your closet. And if you don't want that, then don't run for office. It's quite simple. What do you guys think about that? Do you think that the president should show his tax returns? And do you think that he has some things out there that he does not want you to know about? I will open up the phone lines. You won't find a more interactive show than this show, The Vegas Take. We enjoy taking your phone calls. And I always appreciate a different point of view so long as you are respectful and so long as you make a little bit of sense. If you don't make sense, then I'm probably not going to be respectful to you. That's just the way it goes. You just got to deal with it, folks. You got to deal with it. The number to call, 257-5396, is the number to call. Again, that number to call if you want to be a part of the program, 257-5396. We are talking about the president's tax returns that seems like he refuses to show. We're going to get to Michael Cohen because apparently he has some more information, Mr. Cohen, that he wants to share with Democrats. We will get to that and the latest information on the Robert Mueller. Apparently, according to the Washington Post, there are some sources within the Mueller team that are voicing frustration about how Barr portrayed that. We'll get to that, too. Again, the number to call if you want to be a part of the program, talking about Donald Trump, talking about I guess you could say lack of transparency. 257-5396. Again, 702-257-5396. Let us lead off with Dan. Dan, thanks for calling into the Vegas Take. How are you?
I'm doing well. Yeah, I was wondering. I have the pleasure to work for the government, so I was wondering if you would go ahead and email me your tax return.
I'm not president, sir. I know you're trying to be funny, but I'm not the president of the United States. I'm not running for office.
I'm being serious, but if you're, if it should be that transparent, then, if we should be.
Sure, no problem. No, Dan, give me your address right now on the air, and I will gladly email you my tax returns if you do the same. What do you think about that? Yeah, I got nothing to hide. Well, you can laugh. I'm being completely serious. I don't have a problem showing you my tax returns. Do you?
Yeah. No. Jensen.
Good. So we agree. Okay. Good. Okay. So I answered your question. I full transparency. We'll have an event coming up where you can meet me. You can meet my co-host JD Sharp, and I'll try to bring my tax returns there for you.
I'd like if you just email it to me so that way everybody can see it.
So you want me to not just email you? So now it's changed. You want me to make my tax returns public because I'm a radio host? Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, because the person that requested the tax return, what will he do with them? Will he share it with all of Congress, or will he just use it for his own purposes?
Well,
you're going to have to
do that. You're going to have to ask him that. But I'll tell you one way I'm not going to answer that question. I'm not going to say I'm under audit and we'll wait till I'm done. And I'm also not going to answer the question, Dan, by saying speak to my lawyers. That's not the way I answer questions. I've got nothing to hide. Okay, when you run for the presidency, when you run for office, you have to expect that people are going to want to find out if you've cheated. You want to find out if you've cheated on your tax returns. And the fact that Donald Trump won't show that, refuses to show his tax returns, leads me to one thing. He has something to hide. And I know you're trying to be funny and facetious, asking me.
I'm not trying to be funny, but I think
what is my tax?
Should do that too.
What is my tax?
The Congress should release theirs.
How can you? How can you compare a radio talk show host to the president of the United States? Do you really think people care about seeing my tax returns? Let me tell you something, Dan. There's a lot of people out there, Democrats and Republicans, that do want to see his tax returns. I know you don't want to admit that, but that's the truth.
Sure, I'm sure they would love to see the tax returns. They could try to, see what he does and everything like that. I know that when I work for the government, so there's certain information I have to provide to the government, and my tax returns are not one of them.
Okay, fair enough. All right, Dan. Well, I tried to answer your question the best I could. I wish Donald Trump could answer it the same way. I appreciate the call. 257-5396, 702-257-5396. You will see a couple royal flushes. I can't even talk. No, I'm not talking about the toilet. I have hit a couple royal flushes. I have paid my taxes. Let's go to Scott. Scott. Oh, no, we lost Scott. Scott must have hit a royal flusher. Let's go to Keith. Keith, thanks for calling into the Vegas Take. How are you, Keith?
I'm fine.
What's on your mind?
How come you don't understand that crimes have been committed by Democrats?
I have no idea what the hell you are talking about. Where have I ever said in the history of my 20-year career on the radio, where have I ever said that no Democrat has ever committed a crime? What are you talking about?
the FISA report is completely illegal.
What the hell does that have to do with what we're talking about with Donald Trump's tax returns? Why on earth would you call into our show and ask me a question like that? Did I start the show by talking about that report? No, I talked about Donald Trump and his tax returns. Now, maybe you don't like that. You sound like a Republican. You sound like a biased righty. What does that have to do with Democrats committing crimes? Have I ever said that a Democrat has never committed a crime? No. I talk about Democrats all the time. There's plenty of Democrats I don't like, Keith. So how about sticking to the subject about what I'm talking about, and that is Donald Trump and his tax returns. Can you do that? Can you stay on point?
You're talking about the tax returns because he was exonerated from
I'm not.
Russian collusion.
No, I'm not.
Now you're changing it to taxes.
First of all, I'm not changing it, okay? I've been talking about Donald Trump's tax returns for years, since he became the president of the United States. He was asked this question way before.
Where's your evidence? If you've been looking at it for years, where's your evidence?
Excuse me, I was trying to finish your question, okay? You were factually wrong, number one, when you said that you insinuated that I've never said a Democrat has ever committed a crime. So, number one, you're completely wrong. You look like a clown there. Number two, we're talking about the tax returns. I talked about Donald Trump's tax returns when he became president because he was asked way back then, why won't you show your returns, Mr. President? And his response was, well, because I'm under audit. And now his answer is changing. Talk to my lawyers. He is trying to hide something, Keith. So now that you've been wrong, too, would you like to go 0 for 3? Is there something else you want to say that's not factual? Let's go 0 for 3.
Yeah, if you've been digging through his tax returns for 3 years, how come you don't have nothing?
Nobody. What are you? I don't want to call you a name, Keith, but what the hell are you talking about? You think I have access like the IRS does? What are you talking about?
They have access. You think if
you just said
Democrats had
what are you
the
talking?
Information, they wouldn't go after him.
What are you talking about? What are you?
They've had 3 years.
What are you talking about?
They got nothing on him.
So
You're
hold on.
stupid.
Okay, thank you for. Let me explain why you're stupid. You think that Democrats, because you're a politician, you have the same access to his tax returns as someone at the IRS? Are you really that dumb? Goodbye, Keith. You sound like a moron because you are one. What are you? 0 for 3. Let's see if we can beat that today. Let's see if some call up and go 0 for 4. Keith went 0 for 3. That's a record. Shaq shoots better at the free throw line than you, Keith. Jeez, what a clown. Should be juggling balls at Circus. Nothing against those clowns, by the way. They're very talented. 257-5396, 702-257-5396. Let's go to Daniel. Daniel, thanks for calling in. How are you?
Real fine, sir. The reason his tax forms don't bother me that much is that you had the Obama IRS go through them for how many years? 7 years? Do you think they could have found something? And the other part of it is, how many billionaires have ever run for office that somebody could explain what actually goes on in all those tax forms? Okay,
let me explain the first thing you said about Barack Obama. As far as I know, Donald Trump's tax returns have never been public. Just because Barack Obama might have requested them, I'm not sure where you're getting that from.
No. I'm saying that we have professionals that we pay to go through people's tax forms to find that if they're doing them honestly.
And a lot of people I understand what you're saying, Daniel, but a lot of people that we pay to go through those tax returns doesn't necessarily mean that they are digging through them and doing their due diligence on it.
Well, but you don't think that the IRS that went after the conservatives would not go through Trump's taxes to find out?
I'm certainly not
illegal.
I understand what you're saying, but I'm certainly not going to make that assumption. All I'm telling you, Daniel, is this: you seem like a like-minded guy. Okay, let me ask you this: why is it that he doesn't want us to see them? And let's just call it what it is. Clearly, he doesn't, because he would have released them by now. Just because you're under audit, and by the way, we don't know if he's under audit, but even if he was, he could still show his returns. Why is it, Daniel, that he doesn't want us to see them?
I would say because there's a lot of complications in it with all of his different businesses and all of his bankruptcy.
But you would think he's hired a lot of people to do that stuff for him, has he not?
Well, I assume so. But accounting is not an exact science.
I never said it was. I understand.
Well, but you're saying that people have been through it. His guys did it. There's interpretations.
Well, what are you talking about? He's since Richard Nixon, every president after him has released their tax returns. Why is it that your president, who I'm going to make the assumption you voted for, refuses to release them to the public?
I think they're too complicated for people to understand.
All right.
And you've had the Obama IRS go through it for, 5, 6, 10? They could have gone through all the back. He would have asked them to find something.
All right. Well, you keep up bringing Barack Obama up in this. I don't think this has anything to do with Barack Obama. I appreciate your opinion. I appreciate the call. We just simply 100% disagree. 257-5396, 702-257-5396. Let's go to Sergio. Sergio, thank you for calling into the Vegas Take. How are you?
Hi, how are you, Brian?
Doing good, Sergio. What's on your mind?
Just listening to the show. So the answer to your question, I could care less if he releases his tax returns.
Can I ask you a question?
Knowing how politicians are, even if he has something with his taxes,
right? Can I ask you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me ask you a question, Sergio. I'm sorry to cut you off there, but I'm curious. I want to pick your brain a little bit here. So let's just say that and I'm giving a hypothetical here, Sergio. Let's just say that his tax returns are released and it shows that he's had illegal financial, I guess you could say, activity with Russia. Let's just hypothetically say that he's done some business with Russia, and that is the reason why, perhaps, for lack of a better term, he's kissed Vladimir Putin's ass. He's had illegal stuff going on while he's been the president of the United States. Would you have a problem with that?
Sure, but isn't that the job of the IRS to basically find out, as everybody files returns every year? If I send something that is kind of like a fugazi, they'll get me.
Understood. I understand, but as you know, that doesn't always necessarily work, and there could be some stuff in his returns, and there could be some stuff that could lead to possibly criminal or illegal activity. So isn't it better that we know that let's just assume that he's not corrupt. Let's assume that he hasn't made any mistakes on his tax returns, which I would say he probably has, and that's why he doesn't want us to see them. If that is the case, Sergio, I want to see them. I want to know. I want to know if our president has lied. I want to know if he's a cheater. I'm glad that there's no Russian collusion. We still don't know about the obstruction stuff, and I'll get to the Mueller report. But I think it is important to be transparent, Sergio, and I understand what you are saying. Perhaps there are a lot of people out there like you that don't care. I do. As an American, I care. I also think it should be a law that the president of the United States or any other politician elected into office should be forced to show their tax returns. You want to know why? Because we don't want cheats running this country. That is why. 257-5396. Go to Mary. Mary, thanks for calling in. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Doing good, Mary. What's on your mind?
Well, you were talking about Trump's taxes.
Yes, ma'am.
And I like what he's done for our country. He has under no obligation to show us his taxes, and I really don't care. Because if you could pull somebody out of this nation that makes a lot of money and show me where they've never cheated or done anything wrong, I think that's a bigger deal. And if Trump needs to show his taxes, I want to see every member of Congress's tax returns. I want to see every member of the Senate.
Well, I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
And he's the only president we've ever had in my lifetime that is doing this job without taking one red cent from the American people.
What do you mean?
For him doing that, he's not getting paid to be president.
I understand that.
His sales. Yes, he has. He is not being paid.
I understand that, but I think he's certainly being paid in other ways. You don't think his brand has gone through the roof since becoming president? You don't think so?
He didn't have to be president for his brand to be running.
I didn't say he had to be president, but that's not the point. You're saying he's not taking one red cent. You don't think this has helped his brands and his businesses and his hotels all over the world, the fact that he is the president of... Okay, well that's ridiculous.
His name was big enough.
Okay, well that's ridiculous. Just look, Mary.
Everybody made fun. They said he would never make it.
What does that have to do with what I just said? What does that have to do with it?
He's doing a good job, and he's working as hard as he can for the American people, whether they're Republican, Democrat, Independent, or a-holes. He's working for everybody evenly.
He's working for everybody evenly. So you think he's done?
Nobody needs to show their tax returns. It's none of anybody's business.
So
mine, yours, or anybody's. What's on his tax returns?
Okay, Mary.
Between him and the IRS.
Okay, well, I couldn't disagree more with just about.
I'm not paying his salary. I don't have a right to ask him for nothing.
Okay, well, here's where I completely disagree with you, Mary. First of all, just because we're not paying his salary doesn't mean that we shouldn't want an honest president, somebody who represents us. Now, obviously, you're a huge Trump guy. Okay, you think he's God's gift. Obviously, I'm getting that from you. I couldn't disagree with you more. I want a president with full and total transparency. Barack Obama showed his tax returns. Jimmy Carter showed his tax returns. George Bush and George Bush Sr. showed tax returns. Okay? There's a reason why Donald Trump hasn't shown them. And to think that he's Mr. Goody-Good Two-Shoes and that is, not my business, I don't care. All I care about is unemployment numbers are down and the economy's going good. Well, you know what? We should hold the president to a higher standard than that, Mary. With all due respect, I appreciate the call, but I could not disagree with you more. Let's go to Jeff. Jeff, thanks for calling in. How are you?
What's up, Brian?
What's up, Jeff? What's on your mind?
Well, I just got a couple of points to make. First of all, I think a couple of callers ago had a good point. The IRS was definitely politicized under the Obama administration. They targeted conservative groups in the election. I think with all the birther stuff that Trump was engaged in, if there had been something going on in his taxes, I think the Obama IRS would have come up with it.
Let's just say, okay, let's stop there. Let's talk about that. Let's just say 90% chance you're right, Jeff. Let's just say, and I don't know if you're right or wrong, but let's just assume hypothetically that you're right. Why not just release those tax returns and then we can move on?
That's what I was going to – that's my other part of my call. So I think there's good reason. Like, first of all, he's unlike any other president we've had in terms of his business dealings and how complicated his empire is. And it would be easy for the Democrats. I mean, there's a lot of loopholes that you can use legally to avoid paying taxes, and it would be easy for the Democrats to just pick out a few things and, make him look very bad, even if it wasn't illegal. The Democrats love playing the class warfare card, and they would just
It's pretty simple, Jeff. If he broke the law, if he cheated, then let's find out about it. And if he didn't, then the Democrats look like idiots. Let's just find out. And then I'll go on the air and I'll say, you know what?
They're not going to look like idiots. Who's going to hold them to account? Nobody, not the press.
Look, first of all,
Democrats can do that, and if it turns out, nothing, then there's just going to be flushed down the memory hole.
That's not true. I disagree. I think there are people. Well, let me be the first one to say, and I'm not a Democrat, but I'll be the first one to say, if he releases his tax returns, Jeff, and there's nothing there, and he's done everything right, I will go on the air and say, I'm so glad he released his tax returns. I'm so glad he's an honest man and he pays his taxes. I will be the first one to say that. Release your tax returns so we can find out. Let's go to Cynthia. Cynthia, thanks for calling in. How are you?
Good, thank you.
What's on your mind?
I have to go with he is not legally bound to do it.
I never said he was.
I didn't say you did either.
Okay.
I'm just saying, you know what? It's kind of a new tradition, but I once you start to think people do things that they're not legally bound to do, kind of puts a little hairy-carry in there. I would like to see him, but I don't think he should be obligated to do it just because they want to see if they can find dirt on it.
Well, you say that, and I understand why you would say that, because you sound like a Trump supporter, right? You sound like you don't.
I did not vote for Trump.
Okay. What do you think about?
I voted for the Libertarian candidate.
Okay, so why not just full transparency with all of our politicians? I don't understand why.
If it was the law, you had to do that. Yeah, I think that's fine. But I think they're pushing it because they're hoping they're going to find something, sort of like the last investigation thing.
Well, there's this you have to admit, Cynthia, it's very, very suspicious. Okay, you didn't vote for Trump, so I believe I am talking to somebody that is not biased, and I appreciate that. And that's why I want to ask you.
I'm a libertarian.
I appreciate that, and that's why I want to ask you this question. So why is it you think when Trump has been asked about his tax returns for several years now, First he says he's under audit and he'll be glad to show his tax returns when he's not under audit. And now all of a sudden when he's asked about it, he'll say, well, just talk to my lawyers. You don't think he has something to hide, Cynthia?
I think legally he doesn't have to show them.
I never said that. That wasn't my question, Cynthia.
I don't think there's anything.
Cynthia.
It's been said that every single taxpayer has done something wrong on their taxes.
Okay,
so
I understand, Cynthia.
He doesn't have to, and I don't, and it doesn't. I'm saying it's not the law.
I understand, Cynthia, and I appreciate the call, but that was the fourth time you said that, and that wasn't my question. My question was, do you think he's trying to hide something? And your response was, well, it's not against the law. Okay, come on. You sound like a Trump supporter when you answer the question like that. Let's go to Mitch. Mitch, thanks for calling in. How are you?
Pretty good. How are you today?
Doing good, Mitch. What's on your mind? Can I see your tax returns, please?
I'm curious if you understand how complicated corporate taxes are and what...
No, I just do a radio show. I don't understand anything, Mitch, to be honest with you. Please educate me.
I work I worked for a large corporation.
Okay.
We supplied an entire office to the IRS.
Okay.
And they spent years. And Mr. Trump has a very large business. And they spent years going through tax return schedules.
So
they
what?
Had lawyers that were extremely competent and very complex.
Okay. And
they
so
would
what?
They would sit down with our people who are also lawyers.
Okay.
Filled out the tax returns. And
Mitch, I'm taking some antidepressants during this phone call. Can you please get to your point? What does that have to do with?
My point is, nobody would learn anything by him releasing them.
How do you know that? How the hell do you know that? You haven't seen his tax returns. You have no idea what you're talking about. You don't know what's in his. No, you don't. You have no idea. You're just assuming because you work for a large company and because Donald Trump had all these large companies that we're not going to see anything. You don't know. You don't work for the IRS. You haven't seen his tax returns. Mitch, with all due respect.
I sat in the meetings with these guys.
What does that have to do with Trump's personal dealings? You're not making any sense. Holy cow. What are you talking about? You're giving me an aneurysm.
What do you expect to learn? And would you understand it?
You know what? How old are you, Mitch? Are you in your 70s, 60s?
I'm 75.
Okay, well, my father's in his 70s, so because of that, I know everything and anything about you because you're in your 70s as well. I know everything about your life. That's what you're saying to me. You are absolutely and positively making no sense at all. Apparently, you like golf. Apparently, you like duct tape, just like my dad. He duct tapes everything, okay? Because you're in your 70s just like my dad, I must know everything about you. That is how dumb your analogy is. Because you work for a big company, you seem to know everything about Donald Trump's tax returns? What the hell are you talking about? We'll take some more wonderful calls, just like Mitch, when we come back. 257-5396 is the number to call. 257-5396. Take a quick break. Vince, Kirk, Scott, Phil, Jim, you're all on hold. We'll get to you when we come back. I promise I will take all of your calls at 257-5396. Take a quick break. Be back right after this. You're listening to The Vegas Take on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDWN. Oh, yeah, welcome back. It is The Vegas Take. By the way, a reminder tomorrow, a couple nice guests. We're going to preview the Final Four, talk a little NHL hockey with former Hartford Whaler goaltender Sean Burke, also Larry Eustace, former NCAA coach, to preview the Final Four. But right now, let's stick on topic, right? Let's talk a little bit of Donald Trump. We're talking about his taxes, and don't give me this stuff, you callers. And we got phone lines are jammed up right now. They've been jammed up since the start of the show. So we'll take all your calls. If it's busy, please keep trying. Because it's worth it. Because you know I'm going to be nice to you, and I'm going to be very gentle, and it's going to be a nice, pleasant conversation. You're going to tell your kids. You're going to tell your family, boy, that guy Brian Shapiro, he really is a nice guy. He really treats the callers really well. That's what you're going to tell them, right? So the number to call, by the way, 257-5396. Don't give me this crap about, well, it's not illegal. The president doesn't have to show his tax returns. That's not the argument that I am making, so don't play that card, okay? 257-5396. Let's go to Phil. Phil, thank you for waiting on hold. How are you? Philly? Phil? We've lost Phil. Line 5 again. What a shocker. Line 5 doesn't work. That's never happened before. Let's go to line 6. Jim. Jim, thanks for calling in. How are you?
Hey, Brian, I'm doing good. How are you, man?
I'm doing good, Jim. What's on your mind, my man?
You know, I respect you as a journalist.
I'm not a journalist. Don't respect me.
I agree with you more.
Don't respect me. I'm not a journalist, Jim.
Absolutely. You get my respect.
I appreciate that anyway, Jim. Checks in the mail. All right, go ahead, Jim. Make your case. Yep.
All right, here's my point, okay? I have a very big problem with Congress weaponizing the IRS.
Okay.
For political purposes. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because if they can do it to one person, they can do it to anybody that they disagree with.
Right.
Okay? And a colonoscopy with power tools is not my idea of good time.
I disagree. That sounds like a good time to me. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You know, so, first we were told, there's incontrovertible proof that it's Russia. It's
Jim,
Russia.
Jim, can I interject for one?
When that went flat, now they're saying, now we have to go after his taxes. And
Jim, I understand.
Nothing but more of the same.
I get it.
And endless investigations until they can find proof to impeach him.
Jim, I totally understand where you're coming from. You made a good point there, as you normally eloquently do. Let me ask you this, though. Wouldn't it be fair then if every single person that is elected into office should be forced to show their tax returns? I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. Wouldn't that solve the issue?
No, it wouldn't.
Why?
because then it would be, people on the radio have to show their taxes too.
Well, no, I disagree because
TV would have to show their
well,
taxes.
no, I mean, we're talking about politicians. I mean, I wouldn't have a problem with that. There wouldn't be many taxes to look at. Like I said, I've hit a few flushes, royal flushes. That's about it. But I mean, no, in all seriousness, we're talking about politicians. We're talking about people that serve the country. I'm just an idiot that does a radio show. Nobody cares about my tax returns. We're talking about the president. We're talking about people that actually make very, very important decisions about policy.
A dangerous precedent.
All right. Well, I mean, Jim, sometimes we agree, sometimes we disagree. I always appreciate to hear from you, Jim. Good to hear from you, and I respect your opinion on that one. We just disagree. Let's go to Vince. Vince, thanks for calling in. How are you? Vince? Did we lose Vince? Okay. 257-5396, the number to call if you want to be a part of the show. Let's go to Kirk, who's been waiting patiently on hold. Kirk, are you there?
I'm here. How you doing today?
Thank you for waiting patiently, my friend. What's on your mind?
Not a problem. I've listened to you for a little bit, and I fully disagree with you a lot of the times. But one of the, you bring up a valid point. I personally think I would like to see the tax returns of everybody in Congress, too.
Yeah, me too. I agree.
It'd be phenomenal. But the problem is right now that's not a law.
Right.
And with the FEC filings, there's a lot of transparency that's already been into that. They can find those.
Yes.
I think what it's become is just a big, it's been a big, I have another word for it, but just a big match.
I think you were going to say cluster F. That's what I think you were going to say.
I was going to say a
Okay, I got you. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Between the two. And I think much like, and I don't want to do tit for tat, but I think much like Barack Obama didn't bring his birth certificate to the table for 2 years, he could have had it in 5 days, but it became a match.
Yeah, I didn't agree with that, and that's a very good point. I thought he should have. I thought he should have shown it right away. I'm glad he did show it eventually, but I don't know why it took so long. I agree.
Yeah. So my thing is no, it's not. You bring up the point of there might be something about Russia in there, but we do have this thing called the Fourth Amendment, which is unreasonable search and seizure, or they need to have reasonable evidence. What we found in the Mueller report is they don't even have reasonable evidence, obviously.
Well, okay, maybe not for.
And you're right. We haven't seen the Mueller report. We haven't even seen a summary. All we've seen is
a right-wing hack by Barr. That's all we saw. 4-page letter, which
okay. Now you're calling names, but that's cool. I respect Barr, and what he's come up with is a quick. I can't remember exactly what they called it, but it's not a summary of the report. It's not the summary that he's going to give. But then you have people like Schiff asking for this report and saying we need to make it transparent when he darn well knows,
I understand,
as an individual, as a lawyer, that they cannot do that. It's against the law.
Kirk,
they're weaponizing it and using it against Trump,
yes,
just like they're weaponizing and using the taxes that he won't release the taxes.
All right, well, Kirk, I understand where you're coming from, and I appreciate the call. I don't think we're weaponizing or demonizing Donald Trump. I certainly believe Donald Trump has something to hide. In a perfect world, I think every politician should have to show their taxes. Fine line, as Jim said, a few callers ago, fine line between a radio host like myself and the president or someone that is, actually doing something and trying to pass things in office. 257-5396. We do have a few lines open. Let's go to Scott. Scott, thanks for calling in. How are you?
It takes a lot, Brian, for me to call in when we're not talking about hoops.
We'll talk about hoops. Tomorrow we got Larry Eustace.
Can you do a segment on how Bruce Pearl is still coaching college basketball?
That's a good question because we got Larry Eustace, who's going to be joining us again tomorrow, my friend, former NCAA coach, and he's friends with. So, Scott, I will ask that question just for you.
Thanks. So, when I look at Donald Trump, I get a kick out of your callers.
So do I.
Do you know, now, Brian, a guy like that, he's probably been with thousands, if not tens of thousands of beautiful women in his life. He's extremely powerful and rich.
Well, not according to him, though. He was with someone that he called Horseface. So, I mean, according to him, he's been with women that are not attractive. But I'm sorry. I digress. Go ahead.
To each his own, right? I mean,
right, exactly.
Love is blind.
Yes.
But the average man, when he goes out in the morning, a lot of guys just hope their car starts. I mean, I would kill to have a life like Donald Trump.
By the way, that's definitely my car. You're absolutely right. Go ahead. Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying that a guy like that has lived that life. I mean, the taxes. Are you sensing though with your callers? Most men, they don't. I don't care. I mean, I get your points. What you bring up, they're all valid. But I don't care if he made 80,000 or 800 million.
No, I don't care either. That's not why I want to see his tax returns. I want to know why he doesn't want to show it to us. I think there might be something there that, if he cheated on his taxes, I think America deserves to know. I think the general public deserves to know, just like the general public that pays taxes should see the Mueller report, Scott. And it's always good to hear from you. I appreciate it. I promise you we will be talking a little basketball coming up tomorrow. We're going to do a full segment on that. Let's go to Brandon. Brandon, thanks for calling in. How are you?
Yes, sir. I'm doing well. I just had some thoughts on why Donald Trump might not release his taxes. And I don't think he necessarily has anything illegal he's trying to hide or something that might harm him in the upcoming election, but I think it might have to do with his ego. I've heard the theory before that he's not worth nearly as much money as he says he is.
I agree.
I think if he releases his taxes, it might damage his ego. I think it's more of an ego.
Brandon, hopefully this will boost your ego, but I got to say this, of all the callers I've had so far, that is the one really good legitimate point that one has made. So a round of applause to Brandon. You might be onto something there, but isn't that a little bit childish, Brandon, when you think about it?
You know, I can't disagree with you. I didn't vote for Donald Trump in the primaries last time, but he was my candidate for the general election, so I had to vote for him because I agreed with a lot more of his philosophies than I did Hillary's. That's just how
I didn't vote for Hillary either. I can't blame you for that one.
But yeah, I suppose it is childish, but I don't think anybody that voted for Donald Trump doesn't already think he's childish. This was a campaign issue.
You'd be surprised. A lot of people that call in think that Trump can do no wrong. They think he's the next Messiah, Brandon, so please don't assume that.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a campaign issue, but enough people, it didn't bother him in the last time he got elected, you know.
True, but he did not. I do bring this up a lot, Brandon. He did not win the popular vote. The bottom line is the majority of Americans, Brandon, the majority of Americans did not vote for Donald Trump. But, Brandon, you made some really, really good points there, and I appreciate it. So thank you so much for calling in. The number to call, 257-5396. Again, that number to call, 702-257-5396 if you would like to be a part of the program. I believe our next caller is Robert, if I'm not mistaken. Robert, thank you so much for waiting patiently on hold. How are you?
I'm doing great, Brian. How are you doing?
Doing good. Rob, what's on your mind?
First of all, Brian, I just have to tell you this. I have to tell you thank you for this talk show because I have been listening to you. I mean, I'm a stranger over here in Las Vegas. I just came here for a couple of months to work. And I whenever I can, I listen to these shows. And it's just interesting as to the number of callers that you've had that I have heard.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. I mean, honestly speaking, it's unbelievable to know that.
Robert, it is.
There's many people out there that just don't really care about.
Well,
and the way they say it, they say it with all vigor and try to fight it. Like, I don't care. Are you kidding me? Like in America? Are you kidding me?
Robert, you make a valid point there. I think there are some very popular conservative radio talk show hosts that do shows on this station, and I'm totally cool with that. There are not a lot of liberal, and I'm not a liberal, by the way, but there are not many people on the left that do shows on this station. I would like to consider myself in the middle, and people say, well, I never heard you talk about Hillary Clinton or Bill Clinton. I don't talk about people that are not in office, Robert. You know,
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And same thing here. I'm not I'm an independent, and I have definitely, like you said, I have listened to the consecutive part, and majority of the people that call in, the part I wanted to stress is that I just can't believe that. I mean, there's good number of people, and I believe they're all good people. But if they think that we should cultivate this kind of a behavior for a leader, I mean, come on. You know what I mean?
I agree, Robert.
Like they keep saying it's not a law. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's not a law. So
I know.
If something is not a law, right?
Right.
So, Brian, they're saying that if something is not a law,
right?
If it is immoral, let's just say, for example,
you know what, Robert? There's nothing, Robert. You'll appreciate this, Robert. And by the way, it's great to hear from you. I'm so glad you called, and I'm glad you're listening in. And you know, they're all ganging up on me, which I like, by the way. That's okay. Robert, it's not against the law of the President of the United States to say these people coming into this country, they're rapists, they're bad people, and I suppose some of them are good people. There's nothing against the law for going after a POW, right? That's not against the law. You can do that if you want to. There's nothing against the law as the President to call a woman a horse face, right? Nothing against the law. You can do that. You could be disgraceful. Nothing against the law to get up on a stage with Kim Jong-un and side with Kim Jong-un or Vladimir Putin, two evil dictators. That's not against the law. But people should stand up and say, that's not right. I'm not okay with that. I want the president to, I don't care, regardless if the economy's good and unemployment numbers are down, there's a way you conduct yourself as the president of the United States. Not against the law to be an a-hole, right? Not against the law to be just embarrassing to the country. 257-5396, number to call, 702-257-5396. I'm going to tell it like it is on this show. There's going to be people that are going to agree. There's going to be people that are going to disagree. That's what makes America great, right? Not to use a Donald Trump term, right? But I will. What makes America great? Not again. I didn't say again. Is that we have freedom of speech. We have a freedom of opinion. You're going to agree or you're going to disagree with me. But I'm going to tell you what, man. I'm going to be honest on this show, and I'm always going to tell you how I feel. Let's go to Atacino. Atacino, thank you for calling in. How are you?
I'm good. It's Atanasio.
I apologize.
But, hey, I'm really impressed with your openness to people with different opinions, and I totally agree with your argument. And one thing that hasn't come across in your presentation is that if he is compromised, he's putting our country at great danger.
Right.
And I've heard you say it.
Yep.
But not clear enough for my understanding.
You are 150% correct, and that's why we want to see his tax returns. If he has some unruly or some unlawful financial ties to Russia or any entity that he shouldn't be involved with as president of the United States, we deserve to know about it.
But the extension of the argument of your show for me is, why is it that so many people support him so blindly? And I think that there's a good reason for it.
What's
that?
that?
And that is there's a lot of anxiety.
Oh, I thought you were going to say stupidity. I thought you were going to say stupidity. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No,
I digress.
I don't like to be rude.
I do, but that's okay.
Yeah,
go ahead. Go ahead.
That's sure. but the thing that I think needs to be clarified in our arguments,
yes,
the catharsis that I want to see in our country, and I think is happening, is that there are issues that people are concerned about: immigration,
sure,
and the whole idea of America standing up for itself. I'm not sure if we haven't been all along, and now we're falling back and we're becoming a second
good point
rate player.
Yeah, very, 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 very valid points. I got to get to some other calls. It is so good to hear from you, and I'm sorry I screwed up your name. I do that from time to time. Nothing personal. My name's Brian. I dated a girl for 3 years, and she wrote me a letter once after we broke up, and she spelled my name Brain. So people do mispronounce and misspell people's names. I apologize for that. I think I could pronounce this one right. Dave, thanks for calling into the Vegas Take. How are you?
Hey, good, Brian. How you doing?
Doing good, my man. What's on your mind?
Hey, I just wanted to make a quick point. I totally agree with it should be mandatory that these politicians and people that we're electing to look out for my best interest and your best interest, make it mandatory. And they do have to release their taxes and everything else.
There you go. I mean, there's so much corruption, and I'm not just talking about the White House. I'm talking about politics and politicians on both sides of the aisle. This would be I don't want people getting into office. You know what this could do, Dave? If everyone had to show their tax returns, people would think twice. If they have lived a corrupt past, they would think twice. They'd say, nope, I don't want to run for office because I don't want people to know about my tax returns, and that would save the country a lot of grief, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It would, but I'll take it a step further. How quickly do you think that if that was brought to the floor of the Senate or Congress,
never be passed,
voted down?
Never be passed because you got too many corrupt people that would be voting. Never pass. Yeah.
Exactly.
No, you're right, Dave. Dave, excellent point, my friend, and I appreciate you bringing that up. You're absolutely right. It would never pass, unfortunately. Corruption in Washington? What? 257-5396, the number to call, 702-257-5396. We do have a couple of phone lines open. Let's go to Joe. Joe, thanks for calling in. Joe, how are you?
Pretty good, Brian. How you doing?
Doing good, Joe. What's up?
Hey, listen, I agree with that last caller. You know what? Why don't the taxpayers, we need to demand this from our leaders, that we say both sides should show us their returns. And we elect people that have the same views along the lines of term limits, showing us returns, making it mandatory.
Yeah. You know what, Joe? That's a good point. I'll bring up Ocasio-Cortez for our right-wing listeners. Ocasio-Cortez has been elected into office, right? You would think with her ego, and she clearly has one, you would think that she's been in office for 40 years. She hasn't passed anything. She hasn't done anything. And she's used her celebrity status being elected into office to her advantage. And I don't like it. I don't like these politicians, especially the younger ones, that they haven't done anything. They haven't accomplished anything yet. And they think they have so much power because they were elected that they are above the law. I am not a big fan of that. And I do think Donald Trump is one of them, Joe. I do.
Well, listen, I don't disagree with you. I'm all I'm saying is if the voters will demand it from the leaders, the people that are running for office, and
Right.
say, listen,
Yeah.
are you willing to put, tax term limits?
Yep.
As something that you would be for, and mandating tax returns from anybody running for office.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Joe, you're absolutely right, my man. I think we both agree on this one, and it's good to hear from you. 257-5396, only got about a minute for D. D, thank you for waiting patiently on hold. How are you?
Fine, thank you. I actually found you by accident. I'm an Auburn fan and was calling.
Boy, I wish women would tell me that more often. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I loved them so much. I actually cried when they won their game. But I just want to tell you, you really need to tape your shows, and you really need to listen to them for yourself, because you talk so fast and you talk over everybody, and then so you don't get a real good rapport going.
Well, I'm not interested. Well, hold on. I don't mean to.
I'm talking over you because we only.
Well, I'm going to hang up on you if you don't listen to me. Okay,
well,
it's not.
I was just going to say.
Thank you.
Don't talk about girls.
Okay, what do you mean? Don't talk about girls? What are you talking about?
I'm telling you what I'm talking about. You just said, how can somebody that old still be coaching basketball? Goodbye.
How could somebody that old still be coaching basketball? D, I have absolutely and positively no idea. By the way, I am so regretful that you found me. Please lose me, okay? If I found you at a bar or if I found you somewhere, I would want to lose you just as fast as I found you, okay? What do you think about that, D? Is that why you called up? What a bunch of nonsense. How'd you like to date somebody like Dee, huh? She sounds like a wonderful woman. 257-5396, the number to call. 702-257-5396. I'm sure she has a wealth of knowledge when it comes to radio, too. Why don't I just let Dee do the show? In fact, if Dee calls back, I'll let her open up the next segment. She can talk about whatever she wants to talk about. Dee, go ahead and call back. The next segment is yours. You could just take over my show. 257-5396, the number to call. We'll be back right after this. You are listening to The Vegas Take on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDWN. All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. Again, a reminder, Larry Eustace previewing the Final Four tomorrow, as well as former NHL goaltender Sean Burke. Of course, we will stick to politics this segment. Mike Babcock will be coming up from TMZ, coming up at the bottom of the hour, talking a little bit about Donald Trump's tax returns. Before I get to more calls, and we do have some people on hold at 257-5396. So Dee just called in, and she says, I interrupt callers too much. I talk over them. And she thinks I should just let them finish. So we took about 60 calls in the first hour. But according to Dee, I should just let callers go. Don't hang up on any callers. But according to Dee, probably would have taken about 2 or 3 calls in the first hour. So, Dee, thank you for the advice. I appreciate that. It sounds like you really know what you're talking about when it comes to radio. Don't quit your day job, though. We had another caller in the break, calls in, doesn't want to go on the air. This is what we have to deal with here. This is what my producer, Ken, has to deal with. Ken, why don't you go on the air and tell us. Oh, you don't have your headphones. That's okay. That's all right. Well, why don't you go on the air and tell us what the caller said? Go ahead. I want to hear it. Go ahead. What exactly did the caller say about me? He said I sucked or something? Well, we'll leave it at that, right? He said something along the lines that I suck, and then he didn't want to go on the air. He just told my producer that. Well, why are you listening if I suck? Why are you taking the time with your little Donald Trump fingers and calling on your phone, on your Obama phone? Why are you calling into the show? That's what I want to know. Ken, does that make any sense? Can you go on the air, Ken? Can you tell us what happened?
I think he also said that no one likes you, but
Well, that's definitely true. I mean, that I totally agree with him there. Nobody likes me. That's true. I agree. That I'm not going to debate. I mean, maybe 1 or 2 people like me, maybe a few, but he's absolutely right.
It's questionable.
Yeah, it's very questionable. I think that's a fair statement. But why would you listen to somebody that sucks? Okay, I think the Kardashians suck. I mean that in more than one way, okay? But we won't go further because it's a family show. But no, I don't like the Kardashians. Do you find me watching their stupid, dumb reality show? No, because I think they suck. That's why.
But should they have to show their tax return?
Yes, absolutely. I want the Kardashians to show their tax returns. And I think they probably have about 30 times more money than Donald Trump. I want to see the Kardashians' tax returns. I want to see what their tax returns and how much money they were worth before Kim Kardashian put out that sex video with Ray J. That's what I want to know. Anyway, that's more TMZ stuff. We could actually Mike Babcock that coming up in the next segment. 257-5396 if you want to join the show. 257-5396. We're talking about Donald Trump's tax returns. I've said it. I'll say it again. I do believe that he should release his tax returns. He clearly has something to hide beyond the shadow of a doubt, as they would say in the courtroom. He's hiding something. And now Trump's former lawyer, who at one point Trump said was a great man, the fixer Michael Cohen, is offering Democrats new information in his bid to stay out of jail while he cooperates with Congress. Now, we don't know what that new information is. Could it be he just wants a lesser jail sentence? It's possible. It could also mean that he does have some information. Apparently, he found some stuff on a hard drive that might be helpful to investigators, according to his lawyer, Lonnie Davis. So we're going to have to wait and see what's going on there. Keep in mind, Donald Trump is not out of the woods yet, okay? There's still an investigation in New York. Did we forget about that? It's not out of the woods yet. And now some members of Special Counsel Robert Mueller's team have reportedly complained that the evidence they uncovered of obstruction of justice during their investigation was stronger than what Attorney General William Barr suggested. Wow, what a shocker that is, right? What a shocker. According to the Washington Post, team members said that they gathered alarming and significant evidence when investigating whether Trump committed obstruction of justice. So there's two things I want to see. I want to see his tax returns released, and I also want to see this Robert Mueller report. 257-5396, the number to call. Let's go to Rob. Rob, thanks for waiting patiently on hold. How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you tonight?
Doing good, Rob. What's on your mind?
Well, first off, I don't think you suck. You and I barely get in the same neighborhood as agreeing, but you don't suck.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Listening to opposite opinions.
Thank you,
Rob. It doesn't offend me so desperately.
I appreciate that, Rob. And you know what? Anyone that has a difference of opinion is welcome to come on the show. But if they say something stupid, I'm going to call them out for it. That's just my style. That's what I do, Rob. That's what I do, man. What's on your mind? I appreciate that, by the way. Thank you.
Couple quick points, man. One, I don't understand the tax thing, and I'm a Trump fan, but, dude, kick in your taxes. When I was a kid, every presidential candidate I can remember, it was a foregone conclusion that they ponied up their taxes.
Right.
It would be on the news. They turned out their taxes today, so you could go read them. Second thing, on the term limits, we have term limits. They're called people need to inform themselves and get the hell out and vote. Quit bitching about term limits unless you're going to vote.
I agree.
We have term limits. That doesn't get rid of all the bureaucrats and the nonsense that goes on behind the scenes that we don't vote for.
Can I ask you a question about voting, Rob? Since we're on that subject, you seem like a smart guy. I think you should get rid of the Electoral College. What do you think?
Can't do it.
Why?
Because then you end up in the whole reason for the Electoral College is so that you don't have your densely populated areas basically dictating to the rest of the country, this is what we're going to do.
Let me ask you, a densely populated area, whether you're in a densely populated area or you live in L.A., isn't an opinion is an opinion? Shouldn't one person, whether you're in a densely populated area or you live, I don't know, in a neighborhood with 1 million people, one opinion should mean the same as another opinion, should it not? That's my opinion on that. I mean, that's how I feel.
Well, okay, but if we didn't have an electoral college,
yes,
right, wrong, or indifferent, you would have New York, Florida, California, Pennsylvania. I mean, you can make some arguments for some of the Rust Belt.
Yeah.
But the majority, the most densely populated areas in this country would decide for the rest of us, period. There would be no other reason.
You could make the argument then maybe some of those politicians that are running for office perhaps should campaign to some of those densely populated areas. But I understand where you're coming from, Rob. I do appreciate your perspective and your opinion, and thank you for the kind words. Do appreciate that. Let's go to Ray. Ray, thanks for calling into the Vegas Take. How are you?
Yeah, good evening. I think your style works for you, your fast-talking style. But sometimes you don't listen to people. But
I will take that criticism, Ray, okay? Because since you started with a compliment, I am going to take your criticism, and I am going to be quiet now, and I'm going to let you go. Go ahead.
Yeah, but, you're right. If you would talk to everybody, then you would only get one caller an hour.
Exactly. I've taken 80. I want to give everybody a chance to call in, Ray. If like the last caller, we disagree, I gave him ample time because he's a smart guy. He's a good call,
People think that Donald Trump is not being a true politician, but he was elected because he's not your average politician.
To an extent, but here's where I will disagree. And you're right. He does say some things that are extremely disrespectful. He does things that to me are completely ridiculous. But here's where I would compare him to some other politicians, Ray, and you tell me if you agree or not. He lies a lot. I believe he is corrupt. I believe he takes care of his own, including his family first, and I think those are qualities, unfortunately, of many other politicians in Washington.
Every politician, unfortunately, is influenced by money and
not all, but many, not all.
But you see, people get the wrong idea. They think Donald Trump he's not like this. Was the tax return thing was voluntary for the last 50 years. Voluntary.
And I'm not disagreeing with that. And it's not against the law to not show your returns. That's certainly not the point I'm trying to make, Ray. The point I am trying to make, and I'm trying to be very clear on this, is that he should release his returns because there are a lot of people that are very suspicious of possible illegal activity. And if he did do nothing wrong, then you just show them.
Then if he sets a good example of what to do, or if he sets a bad example and the law gets changed, then I say good.
Well, I mean, I guess to an extent, I agree with you. I guess the point I'm trying to make, I think a good standard would be, I have nothing to hide. I've done absolutely nothing wrong. Here you go, Democrats. Here's my tax returns. Barack Obama, although he should have released his birth certificate earlier, he did release it. And then that was the end of the Donald Trump campaign of 5 years that Barack Obama wasn't born in this country, which was a lie. You know, he tried to dupe you, just like he duped you with, we're going to build a wall and Mexico is going to pay for it. Mexico ain't paying for the wall. Guess what? You and me are paying for the wall. Let's go to Mike. Mike, thanks for calling into the Vegas Take. How are you?
I'm fantastic, and I'm enjoying your show.
Thank you.
Driving through the highway here. So, you know, I'm not a pro-Trump or anti-Trump, but I do have a question for you.
Sure.
How do you feel about getting Nancy Pelosi's tax return? That's the one I want to see.
100%. 100%. First of all, let me be on the record as saying I do not like Nancy Pelosi. I think she's a moron, number one. Number two, I absolutely want her tax returns and every single other person that is in office. If you do not if you do not win an election, Mike, and you run, but you do not win an election, I think if you run, we should have to see your tax returns because I think some people will vote based on that. You know, does that make sense?
Yeah, I would like to see Trump's tax return, but the reason he's not going to give it is because everything he does is politicized. And, oh, my God, you know, he's been a businessman, and he's been pro-Democrat as far as his contributions.
Yeah.
Oh, they'd have a field day with that. They make him look really stupid.
Well.
But, you know, I think that's not why. I think he did business. He's doing business with Russia.
Yes.
I think that's obvious.
Sure.
I think, you know, he has the world. He has his tentacles all over the world. He's a
You're right. Mike, you brought up a very, very valid point. I do think he has some business dealings with Russia. And whose fault is that? You know, maybe he shouldn't have run for president if that's the case. 257-5396, 702-257-5396. Good call. Appreciate it. Let's go to Robert. Robert, thanks for calling in. How are you? Robert, are you there? Have we lost Bob? Robert? What about Robert? Robert, we lost you. Call back if you can. 257-5396, the number to call. Again, that number, 257-5396. Let's go to Dave. Dave, thanks for calling in. How are you?
All right. How you doing?
Doing good, Dave. What's on your mind?
Well, about Trump's tax returns, I think the people voted on whether they really wanted to see his tax returns or not when he won the election in 2016. Most people who voted for him, I don't believe really care about his taxes. What do you think about that?
I think a lot of people do you remember when Trump said I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and people would still vote for me? I agree with you when it comes to those people. I think those are deplorable human beings. I think that's what and I'm not a Hillary Clinton supporter, but yeah, I do think there are some deplorable people out there on both sides that are going to vote for someone and they don't care what they've done in their life or what type of person they are. I do think, Dave, that there are some Republicans out there, and I don't want to put a percentage on it, but I do think there are some like-minded Republicans out there that did vote for Donald Trump that would like to see his tax returns for this reason. So we could just move on. They want same reason why they want the Robert Mueller report to go public. So we can all move on. Get the Robert Mueller report public. Let's see it word for word. Let's find out what's in Donald Trump's tax returns, and then we can move on as a country. At least that's what I want. Yes, I do think there are people on the right that want those two things to happen. Now, do I think the majority of the Republicans want that to happen? No, absolutely not, for obvious reasons, because I think it will probably make Donald Trump look bad, and it's only bad for him because I think there's stuff in his tax returns that he doesn't want us to see, Dave. I don't know if you agree with that or not, but that's what I think.
Well, I agree with you, but I'll be honest with you. I'm one of the guys, I don't really care about his tax returns, but there's two reasons why I think he doesn't want to show his tax returns. It has nothing to do with Russia or anything. I believe the two reasons are, I think we would find out that he didn't pay very much taxes at all because, you know, after all, he's got the best accountant, so he probably didn't pay that much taxes. That's probably one thing he's embarrassed about. And the second thing is he probably hasn't given probably hardly no money at all to charity. and everybody's going to look at that and say this guy's a billionaire and he ain't donating no money to any charity. I think those are the two reasons probably why he doesn't want to show his tax return.
And that very well,
I don't think he's cheated or anything.
That's reasonable. Yeah, Dave, hang on a second. That's reasonable what you just said, but I think it could be all the above, and I think that he probably has some business dealings with Russia. I also think that it's been proven already that there have been some lands, some golf courses where he's totally blown that up out of proportion, where he put that value way down when it was worth a lot more, and I do think he's cheated, and I think it's been spoken, it's been talked about already. But I think, you made some valid points there, too. I think there could be a lot of reasons, Dave. Let me put it to you this way. I don't think there's just one reason.
Yeah. Well, I think those are the two reasons. I think he has done a lot of things like that with taxes, but so do a lot of other people. They take advantage of loopholes. They have accountants that will do that, on their taxes. But I think the main thing is he probably didn't donate no money to charity. He's probably embarrassed about that.
No, Dave, you might be right. That's why I want to find out. Good to hear from you, Dave. I appreciate the phone call. Again, 257-5396, the number to call, 702-257-5396. I think Dave brought up a few good points, but I think it could be all the above. We don't know, just like we don't know what's exactly in the Robert Mueller report, right? And now we are learning some new information about this report, okay? Apparently, members of Mueller's team have voiced frustration about how Barr portrayed their investigation in his 4-page summary to Congress. Team members said that they gathered alarming and significant evidence when investigating whether President Trump committed obstruction of justice. Members of Mueller's investigative team said they were frustrated with how Barr portrayed their investigation into Russian interference. Some members of the team felt that Barr should have included more information from their own summaries of the investigation. Now, if this is true, which I believe it to be true, let's see the entire report. Why is that so difficult? It's the same. To me, it's the same thing with taxes. If Donald Trump did nothing wrong, let's see the entire Robert Mueller report. Robert Barr was appointed by Donald Trump. You don't think Barr is on the side of Trump on this one? This is the only person that has released anything to the public. A appointed person by Donald Trump. A known Republican who clearly is on Donald Trump's side. Let me ask you all a question, okay? And this is a question for Republicans or Donald Trump supporters. If Barack Obama was under investigation for some alleged serious crimes, and he appointed a Democrat, and there was this large report that came out, and the only stuff that came out was by an appointed Democrat by Barack Obama, would you all feel the same way? Would you be okay with it? Oh, how long is the report? Oh, it's a gazillion pages. Well, we got this Democrat that was appointed by Barack Obama. He put out this 4-page summary. Oh, that's cool. Obama didn't do anything wrong. That's fine. I don't know. Would you Republicans feel that way? Of course you wouldn't. So why should anybody feel that way about Barr? Why should anybody feel like, well, this is the end of all? There's no obstruction, no conspiracies here. Trump didn't do anything wrong. No. Because there are people in this country that are logical. There are people in this country that are not biased. There are people in this country that want the truth. Some of you don't want the truth. Just like what I just said when Trump said, hey, if I shot somebody on Fifth Avenue, people would still vote for me. I'm not talking about you guys because you guys are buffoons. Okay? That's what you guys are. Just like people on the far left that do the exact same thing that, peddled to Hillary Clinton. Same thing. That is what is wrong with politics today. There are too many people that vote based on what party they are in rather than what is best for the country. There are too many people out there that lower their standards. Look, I talk about Donald Trump every single day. And a lot of it's not good. A lot of it's negative. And the reason why I do not like Donald Trump is because I don't think he's a very good human being. I think he's a scumbag. We can talk about how unemployment numbers are down. We can talk about how the economy's good. Great. I'm glad some of those policies are working. I'm glad that he continued what Obama started, last 3 years of his presidency, if you look at the trends of the economy. I'm glad. I'm glad that Trump hasn't screwed that up. And I hope those trends continue to improve. That is a good thing. But just because the economy's good and just because unemployment numbers are down does not mean that we should stand for a president that wears knee pads when it comes to evil, murderous dictators. Vladimir Putin, Kim Jong-un, just to name a few. It doesn't mean that Donald Trump, our president, should lie to some of the leaders in Germany and say that his father was born in Germany. He's done that on multiple occasions. It is a point-blank lie. It doesn't mean we should have a president that attacks POWs. It doesn't mean we should have a president that lies on a daily basis. We can have both, right? And from what I hear from so many Republicans, well, I'm happy with the economy. I don't care about his personal life. I don't care about his tax returns. I don't care about anything. I don't care if he's broken the law. All I'm happy is that the economy is going well. Well, you know what? At what cost, ladies and gentlemen? At what cost? Why can't we have somebody in office that feels they like his policies and a good man? I don't agree with Bernie Sanders. I don't agree with many of his politics, but you know what? I think Bernie Sanders is a good man. I don't agree with Joe Biden all the time, but I think Joe Biden is a decent human being. If he touched a woman on the shoulder or if he kissed a woman on the top of the head, he's not a rapist, but if you watch Fox News, they make him out to be one. Oh, good heavens. There are some hosts on Fox News, they talk about Joe Biden, you think he's Bill Cosby. But those are the same people that won't utter a word when it comes to Donald Trump. Nothing. The man can't do no wrong. You know what that's called? Zero credibility. You want to talk about fake news? There's fake news on the left and there's fake news on the right. But the reason why Donald Trump sides with Fox News is because they kiss his ass. There's a few good people on Fox News. The majority of them are hacks on the right. That's what they are. 257-5396, the number to call, 702-257-5396. Let's go to Marge. Marge, thanks for calling in. How are you?
Fine. Happy Friday Eve.
Thank you. I appreciate that. What's going on?
Comments about the tax return and Mueller.
Sure.
You know, I kind of wondered when he didn't release it, you know, what was going on, and maybe it's the ego thing that he's not as rich as he has claimed. But going back in history, you know, the first president to release it was Nixon after Watergate. So if you think about it, now that the whole Russian issue came up and it's been compared to Watergate, you know, for that purpose alone, it makes sense to release it just to keep history going, I guess.
Yeah, I agree, and I think we agree, most people that are not biased would agree, hey, let's just have full transparency here. And I agree that, you know, we've had some callers call in that say, you know, let's release tax returns for every elected official. In a perfect world, I would like to see that. It's just never going to pass. That's all.
I agree, and it never will be passed.
Right, exactly, exactly. Yeah.
And even the scandal that's kind of emerging on the side is this whole security clearance thing.
Right.
And people with their tax returns. I mean, that's a whole, you know, another subject for another show.
That's true, and I've talked about that before, Marge, and that's a good point. When you have at least 25 people that obviously there were major concerns with the security clearances, but Donald Trump overrid that. If Barack Obama did something like that, we would be hearing it still now on Fox News.
Yeah,
you know?
I would really like to know who the 23 are, because we know who two of them are.
Well, it's clearly Jared Kushner and his wife.
Yeah.
Clearly. But good points, Marge. Always good to hear from you. Thank you so much for calling in.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. 257-5396. I haven't even talked about that, the security clearance stuff. My God. 257-5396. Let's go to Kirk. Kirk, thanks for calling in. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. Listen, I'm looking at YouTube videos right now of Joe Biden grabbing little young girls in the breast area.
No, he's not. He did not grab Kirk. You just started off by
on YouTube.
You just said something that is not factual. He didn't grab any young girl's breast. What are you talking about? That did not happen.
You can go on YouTube. You can watch them yourself.
So, Kirk, you're telling me you're on a 50,000-watt radio station, so we want to be factually accurate on this show. You're telling me with all that Joe Biden has grabbed young women's breasts.
Yeah.
That's what you're telling me.
Yes. And it's
what are you watching?
To watch it. I encourage all your listeners.
Are you sure you weren't watching a porn and an older gentleman that looks like Joe Biden?
Exactly.
Did you not confuse
Joe
it for
Biden
that?
is a monster.
What are you talking about?
If Trump did anything like that, oh my God, they'd hang him by now.
Hold on a second. So you're telling me that Joe Biden is a and by the way, you're lying because he hasn't touched any women's breasts. Okay.
No,
you're
not
lying.
Women. They're young women.
No, you're not telling.
He's a Pizzagate guy.
Okay.
He's in the email list. He's on
Pizzagate? What? Do you really believe that? Are you that
Joe Biden
jaded?
Is a lunatic.
This can't be. Okay, so let me ask ask you a question. Joe Biden to you. First of all, you said things that are not true, but let's just let's just move on from that. Okay, you're telling me no, not in my belief system. There's no video of him touching a woman's breast. You're asinine. You're out of your mind. Okay. Oh please. Yeah. I think I think you have a fetish for older men and you're watching some pornography. That's what I think. Okay, but let's move on from that, Kirk. That's okay if you have that fetish. That's all right. I think secretly you're attracted to Joe Biden. That's what I think.
50-year-old black women.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so I'm sure you'll vote for Kamala Harris there. I'm sure you're a big fan of hers then, huh?
You know who I love?
Who?
I love Catherine Harris. Yeah, out of the Green Party. Yeah, I love her.
Okay, fine. Okay, so let me ask you a question. You called Joe Biden a lot of names in this phone call.
Yeah, he's
okay?
a lunatic.
You don't think Donald Trump is a lunatic?
No, I think if Trump did anything in that nature, if Trump did anything in that nature, the left-wing media would hang him.
Have you ever heard Joe Biden say grab him by the P word? Does Joe Biden have several ex-wives? Did Joe Biden bang a porn star right after his wife had a baby, Kirk? Why don't you answer those questions?
What man wouldn't want to do that?
Oh, please. Well, you know what? Then you're a bad guy, Kirk. Quite frankly, you're a bad guy. No, you're not a good guy. You just no, you're not. You just condoned having sex with a porn star after your wife just has a baby. What kind of person are you? No wonder why. No wonder why you're a big Donald Trump supporter. Listen to what you're saying in this. You think it's okay for Donald Trump to do that?
You're trying to twist my words.
I am not twisting your words. That is exactly what you just said. No, he's not. Kirk, let me ask you: has he ever been convicted of? Has he ever been accused of sexual assault?
Put on YouTube.
Has he ever been accused of sexual assault? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? Has he ever been accused of sexual assault? Yes or no? No, Kirk, pay attention. Has Joe Biden, I hope you haven't, has Joe Biden ever been accused of sexual assault? Yes or no?
Well, this lady that's
yes or no? Has he ever been accused of sexual assault?
This lady now that's talking about
this lady now. Okay, right. Okay, so he's grabbing women's breast on video. Okay, sure, Kirk.
Watch on YouTube.
Okay, you are completely and utterly out of your mind. If he was grabbing women's breast, he would never be in politics. That is sexual assault, okay? Kirk has absolutely no idea what he is talking about, and he is condoning Donald Trump for the things he's done and the things he said. Do you see what I'm talking about, folks? Kirk is a perfect example of one of those deplorables. Yes, Kirk is a deplorable. He's saying all these things about Joe Biden. What a horrible human being Joe Biden is. He makes it out that Joe Biden is a rapist, a sexual predator, which clearly he's not. Joe Biden is a good man. But if you listen to Kirk, Donald Trump can do no wrong. Donald Trump is a great man. He can do no wrong. And Joe Biden is the bad one here. Joe Biden is the sexual predator. That is, if you look up deplorable in the dictionary, Kirk's face would be right next to it. Kirk, you are deplorable. That's exactly what you are. Disgusting, Kirk. You are disgusting. And I think Kirk is addicted to pornography with older men. I think he got that confused with Joe Biden. I do. Anyway, Kirk, I appreciate the call. Great call, by the way. Coming up next, I lost my train of thought there because I was thinking about Joe Biden allegedly grabbing a woman's breast, which never happened. When we come back, we'll be talking to Michael Babcock from TMZ Sports. We will continue on the other side of the break. You're listening to The Vegas Take on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDWN.